All right. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Yeah. Smiling faces. There we go. I am here tonight to moderate a candidate forum for city council and for mayor. So as we move forward into this, we'll explain a little bit about what we're going to do. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but first of all, we're going to go to the Lord in prayer.
Amen.
Father God in glory, how we love you, and we just love to call upon your most magnificent name. Lord, we thank you for your many, many blessings that you continue to shower us with. Father God, we ask right now for your presence to be with us on tonight. We ask you to touch hearts and minds, Father God. Help us to all be on one accord. Help us be respectful one to another. Lord, we just love you and thank you, and without you, we can do nothing. We invite you into this meeting on tonight. And we'll be pleased with whatever you do, Lord. We love you, we thank you, we magnify you, and we do glorify you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Got anybody where's the offering plate? My name is Ray Godfrey. I am the pastor of the Mount Pisgah Baptist Church in Commerce, Texas, formerly here in Ladonia, Texas, but we've moved to Commerce, Texas. And I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to be back home tonight. Ladonia is my home. I am a proud bird with a golden tail too, Ricky. Yeah. It's kind of like being in the military, at which I was for 30 years.
Thank you.
And I was always told there are no former soldiers. Once a soldier, you're always a soldier. So what I'm saying that to say, once a falcon, always a falcon. Amen? Yeah. I'm going to use that in church. They don't even clap at church. All right, let's get moving. What we want to do tonight is to give you a brief run through of how this forum will be conducted. Then I think we will identify who the candidates are. And if there's any, and all candidates that are here. I was over here on Tuesday night. Is there any candidates out in the audience? I'd like to recognize them as well. So you can stand and say what your name is. But we'll go through the rules first. We'll do the identification and we'll go right into the questions. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
This is just a few rules that we want to run through and to make sure that the meeting is held decent and in order. First of all, we'll deal with the conduct, how candidates are expected to handle themselves. We're all adults, and we just handle ourselves. We're respectful. In order to receive respect, you have to give respect. Your speech content and your responses, they have to adhere to the designated questions that were asked. Also, in this, there will be timed answers for the individuals. We will start out with 2 minutes. Once asked a question, they have 2 minutes to respond to that question before we move on to the next candidate. And please have respect for the moderator. I cannot run. So if you get mad at me, don't throw your water bottle at me. I can't get out. No interruptions. As I said earlier, let's just we're all Ladoniites. And let's just act like we are on tonight. It's all right to disagree. That's what makes our democracy the way it is. But what we have to do is come together and have a consensus when it's best for all. And hopefully that's the mindset that we have as we go forward, electing these officials for this city. I don't think there's anything here else that we need to go through. So at this time, I would like to identify your council members for tonight, or the individuals that are running for council on tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, your name, Justin
Bratton.
Justin Bratton. And what place are you running
I'm
for?
running for mayor.
You're running for mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got to remember that. And Tina?
Yes.
Okay, Tina. And Amy?
Yes.
And we have Justin?
Justin and Russell. Russell's on your right. Justin is on your left.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
You're Justin and that's
That was me right there.
okay.
Third down on the list.
Third on the list.
There you go.
Okay, I bungled that all up, but did y'all get it? I'm pretty sure you already know who they are. I tried to do it right, okay? If there's nothing else, I guess we will go ahead and proceed with the question.
The candidates that are out here.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the candidates that are out here. Would you like to raise your hand? Tell us who you are and raise your hand. Hi, Rhonda. Amen.
Greg Morris, I'm running for mayor.
Is that it? Hi, Jan. You're not running for anything, huh? You're here. All right. At this time, we will get our questions and we will begin answering the questions. And we'll try to, I'm just going to go the way you're seated because I messed up the numbers. So,
You want us to read this?
what's the first one?
You want to just take them, the whole thing?
I can do that. I can set it right there.
Let's give them an opportunity to introduce themselves,
Okay, sure.
fill their platform. That'd be great.
All right, we will give the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves. Yes,
Could you give them the microphone?
I'm going to.
So we can hear?
I'm going to.
But they're going to come up.
They're going to come up to the podium. They'll come up and do their introductions. Okay, so we'll just start. Russell, come on.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Here.
Haley, my name is Justin Bratton. I grew up here. I went to Fannondale. I graduated in 2018. 2019, I joined the U.S. Navy. I did 4 years there. I came back home. I've been here a couple years now, and I just want to do my best for this city.
Hi, I'm Amy Robinson, and I moved here in 2018. Before that, I was also in the military, and I'm also a veteran. And I'm running for the city alderman position.
Hi, I'm Tina Cagle, and we've been here since the end of 2022, and I'm running for the 2-year council position.
Good evening, everyone. I want to first say thanks to Jason and to Ray for their work tonight. And Jason, thanks for the work that it took to set this up. My name is Russell Duckworth. Carol and I have been residents here in Ladonia since Thanksgiving Eve in 2019. We got married in that house there at 202 Bonham Street, and we've made some of the best friends in our entire lives here in the city of Ladonia. I love this town, and I love the people who live in it. I do have a problem with a few people, mostly the ones who planted bamboo in our yard. You know who you are. But certainly appreciate the opportunity to visit with you all tonight and talk about things that are important to our town. Thanks for coming.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But candidates, if you'll lean into the microphone, then everybody can hear you.
Okay. Well, he told me I didn't have to get up, so I'm going to sit down. Okay, I guess I made such a mess, he thought I was going to sue the city. Wouldn't do it. Just kidding. Our first question will be for, I'm going to get your name right.
Justin.
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 Russell, Justin.
You call on either one of us. We're ready to go.
The first question will go to you. And the question is, in Monday's city council meeting, the discussion was regarding approval of 177,500 gallons of wastewater, of a wastewater fence. The city council stated, we choose to move forward since we do not have the money. Do you feel that having the money is enough information to know before signing off on such a large expenditure?
I believe while the fences are necessary and required, it doesn't seem like we vetted other options nearly as much as we could have. there's for sure cheaper ways to get a fence than $177,000. Just because we have money in the bank does not mean we need to spend the money. We are having serious financial problems already. Any little bit of money can help. There's no reason to spend $177,000 on a fence.
Okay, thank you. Amy, would you come up here? The next question we have is, well, the same question. Would you like for me to read it again?
Oh, no, I
You got
got
it?
it. The fencing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I actually think that we should have slowed down a little bit, and I know that they're under a crunch from what I heard at the meeting, that they need to get this done because they're getting fined over and over and over again. Well, this isn't a new problem. It's just the fact that they found the money recently. So I think that they had the time. It could have been done, the process could have been done to get more quotes, better quotes. Now, granted, I don't know the price of a fence, but to get those quotes from numerous people rather than rushing into what I feel like we were rushing into because we were under fines that were going to be put on to us again. And we were going to lose money with the fines. And I get that, but I think that there could have been better preparation rather than just rushing in and spending the money because we had it.
Thank you. Tina?
I too agree with both Justin and Amy that we should make sure we do our due diligence research, make sure everything, all I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and not just spend money because we happen to have the money in the bank.
Thank you. Yeah, Justin. There you go.
Thank you. Sharpening the saw here. Having the money to do something is not always the first consideration, right? We know our superintendent, our water sewer superintendent has said that there is a long list of issues that we have that TCEQ could fine us for. I haven't seen that list. I presume there is no list if it hasn't been made available. So the fact that this is now an emergency that has been going on for the past 4 or 5 years, it does seem surprising to me also that it was acted on so quickly, especially given the consideration that I know that when I was on council was hand-delivered their packets before the notice period so that we had everything we needed in our hand to prepare for that meeting. And I know that that is no longer the policy or practice. Some members of council are only getting the information that they need to discuss and consider this information when they sit down at that table, and that's unacceptable. So I think it was a mistake to push ahead. Mr. Godfrey is right. This is about consensus building. This is about coming together and talking through the ideas, not trying to see how fast we can make another problem.
Thank you. Okay, you should have just stayed up there.
Okay.
Start with you. What will you do to support local groups working to improve the town and the lives of the
I
citizens?
like this one. Holy smokes. Again, some of the best friends I've ever had are in this town and in this room, and it's my great pleasure to serve with some of them doing things like cleaning up the trail that welcomes some people into this town that would otherwise never get a chance to see it. Serving with the Chamber of Commerce and doing fundraising that helps with things like buying uniforms for the Falconettes and the drill team and buying t-shirts for the kids at Fanadel ISD. Every kid in that school, and as far as I recall, every staff member gets a shirt every year. And the Chamber of Commerce is very proud of the work that we do to raise the money and make that happen every year. So what will I do? I will continue to do what I do right now, and that is work hand in hand with these groups to make this town a better place to live.
Amen.
I actually volunteer with Feeding Fannin. I try to each month. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce as well, and we actually have property along the trail, and we love to be able to utilize that trail. but there's actually a lot of debris and junk that is being thrown into the creek that runs alongside the trail. So that's one of my things that I would like to work on, is getting the trail cleaned up. And, you know, especially because that's a big part of Ladonia.
Thank you. Tina?
Thank you. I as well agree with, we have a lot of community groups that are out there. And I don't know if you guys know, we also have Paws for Cause that's out there. We have a lot of people that just drop stray dogs, and we are trying, or cats, it doesn't matter, but we're trying to help that. And Danny is actually ahead of that group. Feeding Fannin is a big part. I work. I know that was brought up the other day. A lot of people have jobs. I take vacation time. You know, it's very important to our citizens and also the people that come into our town to get that food. I've been in that position, and they don't want to feel like they're beneath or they're below. They're just one of us. They're one of the people who live in Ladonia, and when we can help, I think that's what we should do. And I know the Chamber of Commerce has stepped up this year and got money for the volunteer fire department by doing the eclipse, raising money. And I think that if we can all come together with the city as a whole, with the city council, and the city be with all those communities, I think that's a great thing.
Russell? Justin?
Oh, I thought he was kidding. I grew up with the fire department. I was on the fire department here for 4 years in town. While I'm not part of the Chamber of Commerce and I very rarely volunteer for Feeding Fannin, I believe thoroughly that as a community, it is our duty to help not one group, but all groups in our community advance in bettering our town. The only way we can do that is as a team. It's not so much what I can do for them or what they can do for them, it's what we can do for the community and what we can do for these groups to help better our community and help better the next generation coming up here. Help better to where we all live better in town.
Okay, our next question will be for Amy. Can the candidate actually answer the question of what's one of your strengths without just saying the equivalent of world peace at a Miss USA pageant?
That one said.
Okay. Well, I have, one of my strengths is actually in grants, helping get grants. I have a certification in grant management that I've just recently attained from FEMA. That is one of my strengths. But the other strength is if you don't know the answer, find it. You know, don't turn somebody away because you don't know the answer. Do your due diligence, do your research, find the answer so that they feel heard. I think a lot of our citizens aren't heard.
Thank you. Tina?
I've worked in the contracts department since 2010, so I've got a little history with contracts and being able to work through those. I also have a history with billing and accounts payable, and I believe those are very strong assets to be able to help our community.
You.
You call me, right?
Okay, Russell.
Thank you. Strength. Objectivity, I think, is something that I always try to bring into every situation. It's very common in our world today for people to label things as good or bad, but in a lot of cases, they just are the way they are, especially when it comes to numbers and complex organizations. Objectivity has a lot to do with being intellectually honest and kind of moving from the emotions around something up into your head to say, what is the truth about this? What is the objective truth that all of us can see and agree on? And then we can talk about how it makes us feel to realize what the truth is if we need to. But I think objectivity and then conceptualization, which is a skill I've been recognized for in the IT industry, which is understanding where we are and determining where we are, and then determining what steps are necessary to get to that spot that we call our goal together.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with Tina. We haven't got you, okay? Come on, Justin, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm gonna get it right before the night's over.
Justin's the good one.
In the Navy, they instill something in you. They instill honor, courage, and commitment. And to me, that means that you have to have one value above all. You have to have integrity. And I believe that no matter what you do in life, whether it's politics or whether it's just talking to your friends down the street, as long as you are honest to the people, as long as you are true to what you say and you don't try to just undercut whatever, I think that's what you need to do. And I think that my strongest strength is integrity. And it's not for sale, y'all. I'm here for you guys. I want to be the voice for anyone who and everyone here. That's really all it is it comes down to, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth. If we don't like it or we disagree, that's fine. We're going to work together to find a way to better it. But I promise you now, I will not lie to you when I'm in there. Thank y'all.
Now, Tina, so
What's the question?
okay, here's the next question. With the roads in the city currently being in terrible shape, will this be a priority of the council, or will this continue to be ignored? The roads are destroying our school buses that are an average cost of $100,000 each.
No, the roads are actually a big issue in Ladonia. I happen to live on one that we have to crawl down the street because of how bad it's gotten. And that is definitely an important issue that needs to be tackled ASAP.
Okay. Thank you.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this Russell or Justin?
That's Russell. That's Russell.
Who is that?
That's Russell.
My name's Russell Duckworth. I'll answer that question, but I think the answer to my question says something about the way that I want to work through a process like this, and it is, who was here for the budgeting process last year and gave input on that, right? Because that's when we decide as a community what we're willing to spend our money on and how much we want to raise our taxes to fix the stuff that's broken, right? That's not my job to make that call. That's your job to tell me, listen, it is so important for us to fix the roads that we're willing to pay more money in taxes to get it done. Because we've budgeted $5,000 a year, as long as I've been here, to fix the roads. How much do you think can be done with $5,000? Nothing. You might get a dump truck full of tailings that you can press into a hole that'll wash out the next time it rains and a truck comes by, or a school bus or a mail truck or whatever, right? So this is not, would Russell fix the roads? Heck yes. Russell would love to fix the roads. I don't think it always has to be with asphalt. There are some new technologies available that might actually work in our situation. But if you think the answer is bankrupting the city and then the county will come in and take care of it, in 2021, a constitutional amendment was almost unanimously, overwhelmingly approved that said a county can issue bonds to fix infrastructure and roads in a blighted area of the county. Who do you think's going to get to pay those bonds back if that happens, right? So we can either deal with it as a community the way it needs to be done with input from the members of this community, or somebody can make that decision for us.
Thank you.
I'll answer. I'll go to.
Come on, Justin. I got it. Nice. I got it.
Well, I live on Church Street, and I feel like that should be a simple answer right there. I don't think the citizens of Ladonia can pay to fix their alignment every time they go down the road. I think I think that my grandpa is a Vietnam veteran and has been immobilized by the state of the roads that we have here. He can't leave the house, can't go around, do nothing. I don't think that's right. I think that we have to make this one of our top priorities. I really don't know what else to say on it except for that we can't have any citizen stuck in their house because the roads are too bad for them to drive on. It's been brought to the city's attention multiple times and nothing has been done about it. That's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy?
I'll keep this kind of short because everyone else kind of covered it. I don't have the answer. It's going to take a lot of research. It's going to take diving into the budgets. It's going to take getting the money, and then it's also going to get the buy-in from the city, from our residents that's what they want their money to go to. I can't, just like we did the 177,000, I can't spend your money on something unless you have a buy-in. And so I know they're bad. I unfortunately, well, they live on Church Street. My road's not as bad. I know McFarland's bad further down. I live on Redner, so it's not too bad just to get to my house, but I have been down Church Street and it is bad. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, back to you, Russ.
I'm up.
How will you change the status quo of the current administration?
Ooh.
Will you engage and involve the Ladonia community in decisions that affect their lives and their town?
Yes, sir. One of the things that it's on the front of my mind and has been for the last year is transparency. You should not have to make a public information request to get basic information about the finances of your city. That should be posted online. You shouldn't have to go ask for a copy of the budget. State law mandates that is posted online. It's also mandated that it be submitted to the county clerk's office. So it should be very easy for us to get a financial status of this town. And when I'm back on the city council, one of the things we're going to do is prioritize transparency. And I mean immediately. I don't care if we have to stand up a new website or stand up a new Facebook site. We're going to get the information that you need and the information that the council has discussed and approved published as quickly as possible so you can see under the hood. It is not right that your money gets spent in the dark with no information about what the process was for making that decision, for getting bids for the equipment, or the reason why it's now an emergency, like it's an election season.
Thank you. Justin, don't get up. I got it down there.
Well, yeah, just in case.
Thank you.
I think that it shouldn't be my decision to make. It should be y'all's decision to make. It is your money. It is. And that goes for everyone. If I win, I plan on looking out for the people who've lost just the same as I would expect them to look out for me. It's the right thing to do. You cannot pick and choose, oh, we're going to take some of these people's considerations in, or some of these people, or none. You have to take every single citizen into account when you make decisions in town. It affects all of our lives. I don't want the town making decisions that affect my life that I can't have any say in, just as I'm sure you don't want them to make decisions that affect your life that you can't have any say in. So yeah, I plan on listening to the entire community on every single decision we make. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Amy?
I'm kind of echoing Russell with the transparency. I think it's huge for us to be transparent. And unfortunately, there's going to have to be a lot of hard conversations Thank you. Unfortunately, there's going to have to be a lot of hard conversations because a lot of it's going to be not say good, bad, or ugly. It's going to be ugly. You know, in the beginning, it's going to be ugly. We're going to have to claw our way out. And I think every citizen in Ladonia that wants to know needs to know where we're starting at and needs to know where we're headed. So for me, transparency is huge.
Thank you. Tina?
I think every citizen in Ladonia matters. Even I, as a possible council member, I'm still a citizen of Ladonia. So the history behind Ladonia, the stories, the memories, all of that are very important. And if everybody is disengaged, not wanting to work with each other, then there's no way we're going to be able to knit all of that together to keep our community going the way it should be.
Excuse me, before you start, can I borrow that chair next to Russell? This is background news here. Thank you.
Had to say no. You're looking bigger than I am. Like the haircut though. All right, our next question, I guess we'll start with Amy. And the question reads, if the $9,000 that has not been set aside in escrow account to pay TWD, where are those funds?
I have no idea. I honestly don't have any idea where their funds are, and that goes back to transparency. I know I have heard just from the other night that they had found the funds or how they had found them in the general account. They'd been using money from the general accounting. But honestly, that's one thing we would have to find out. We have no idea where the money is because it's not made transparent to the city currently.
Thank you. Come on, T. You can come back.
Get your work done, right?
Okay.
Steps.
Okay, would you please lean into the microphone when you're speaking, because I think they're having a hard time hearing in the back.
I'm sorry. So as far as the $9,000 is concerned, I do not know where it is either, but being familiar with QuickBooks, I hope to once, if I can get in, we might be able to take a look at that and figure it out exactly what's going on with $9,000. That's a lot of money.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Justin.
Oh, Justin?
Yeah, yeah, because you jumped ahead. Come on, Justin. I'm gonna give you a hard time.
I hate to sound like a broken record up here, but I also don't know where the money is. But I plan on doing my very best to find out where it went, why it was not put back. No matter who says what about it, it's got to be somewhere, right? Why have we not found it yet? I plan on going in and finding it.
Thank you. Thank you, Russell.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on,
Just trying to expedite this process.
I know it. Thank you.
My recollection on that $9,000 is it's kind of like an escrow account where you take money that you pay with your mortgage every month that goes for your insurance policy, and then that gets paid at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year for your insurance policy. So as an example, we set aside money on a monthly basis as required by the contract with Texas Water Development Board so that we had that money to pay that bill when the time is here, right? So it's a it's a discipline process. It's easier to come up, believe it or not, it's easier to come up with $9,000 a month than it is to come up with whatever that $108,000 all at one time at the end of the year. So it's the smart way to handle that if it's the process and the procedure that I'm thinking of. But we need to follow the procedures that we have established to make sure that we're doing it right.
Thank you. Okay, Justin, this is for you. On back up.
Who's our other candidate here tonight?
Okay. Welcome. Thank you. Question reads, how do you plan on welcoming and encouraging small businesses to come to town?
Do y'all know that new t-shirt shop that just opened up on the square?
Sir, sure.
I went in there myself and helped rebuild that wall in there. I have nothing but support for everyone here. I've supported the Pig and Whistle when they came into town. Eastside, Sonny and them have known me my whole life. They're part of the community just as much as the rest of us. We have to look after them just the same as all of us. And continuously growing, continuously bringing in small businesses grows our economy and introduces us to new people with new thought process. They've always said that two heads is better than one. So if we can get them integrated into our community successfully, I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
Thank you. Amy? Want to read? You got it?
I got it. Justin kind of stole my answer. So economic growth, small businesses, I think are, for our town, it's the key. I know that big corporations, we don't want big corporations in here. We don't want big businesses in here. We want small businesses to come in. And then by word of mouth, you know, when people travel through our town, they bring in all of the money that we need into this town, plus the economic growth for our community. And I think that's huge. And backing them, like he said, Pig and Whistle, we try to get over there. You know, any small thing, hopefully we'll have a coffee shop soon. Anything we can do. And I'm a frequent flyer at Eastside, so Sunny and Nancy know me by name. But so anything we can do to keep our town growing but not exploding, I think that's big.
Thank you. Amy?
Tina.
Tina?
Oh, now you forgot the women's.
I'm getting out of a break.
I'm a big supporter of small local businesses. I frequent Pig and Whistle as much as I can. I haven't been to the t-shirt shop yet, but I definitely support small local businesses because that's going to bring revenue into our town, which is going to in turn help the infrastructure, the things we need to help keep our town going.
Thank you. Dana? Got that one.
Don't let you can't hear me.
You need me to repeat the question?
Oh,
You were walking through the doors.
yes, please.
How do you plan on welcoming and encouraging small businesses to come to town?
That's going to be working directly with the Chamber of Commerce and reestablishing that partnership with them between the city and the chamber. That's really the chamber's the one that should be bringing those businesses in, and then as a city, we need to support them by understanding the rules that we have in place and charging correct permit fees and those types of scenarios that we're currently having. We all know we don't want large corporations. We want your mom and pop. We want your, I think, where is she? Where are you, Jan? There you are. Bait shop. A bait shop, and I mean, let's try to entice somebody to open a tire shop around here. Those types of businesses. We need to find those kinds of car wash, exactly. Those types of businesses that something that really, honestly, any of us could possibly do if we put our minds to it. Or do we know somebody who's got that equipment or that know-how, and let's work with them. Let's try to entice them to come in here and build those things.
Okay, thank you. You're on it. Thank you.
Economic development. I think the essence of this is about the transition from the economy that we've had, which is kind of on a downhill slide. Fewer small businesses than this town has had in the past. Some new businesses. The dollar store is a good example of that. But I think as the lake and as water becomes the center of mass in this community, the opportunities around water are going to be where we find our best opportunities. If Ladonia gets, as we can acquire it, 5% of the firm yield of the lake a day, that's 1.5 million gallons of water every day. If we could entice a company in here who just wanted to bottle water and sell them that water at 3 cents a gallon, that's $45,000 a day. What kind of sewer plant do y'all want to build? Right? What kind of water plant do y'all want to build? The other side of that is, again, making sure that we're following procedure. It's unacceptable for a small business to put their hard-earned money into developing a business and have the city put roadblocks in the way, right? Carol and I are developing a small business here in town too. We've got a dream to have a bed and breakfast in that house, and we're working hard. And according to Debbie Crawford, it'll probably take us another 15 or 20 years. But part of my seminary experience was the understanding that what affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. That's the interrelated structure of reality, which means if I make it difficult for a small business to come in here and perform a good service for the community and pay tax dollars into the city, then I hurt each of you individually, because I have to come to each of you individually to get the money that business would have otherwise generated on its own, right? So look, oh, thank you. Small business. Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't even know we had one.
we have quite a few questions, and we want to try to get out at a decent time. So you have 1 minute or less.
Okay.
If you can do it in less, you can get it out in less, but we're gonna try to get all the questions answered.
Can we do it from here so we're not taking time?
No, we need
Well, they do it for the microphone there. You gotta get your exercise in, sorry.
No, I'm loud. I don't use that loud.
Microphone fit where you can just pass it around.
You can do that, because I'm not
Okay,
here a
so
lot.
that's a good idea.
So we're going like this, right? We're going in this counterclockwise, so
Yes.
we can just queue up.
You can?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can speed up the transition time.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Look at us working together as a team.
Okay.
That's a dream work.
Jog. Yes. Would you be willing to work with local volunteers, now a group, to support and create a city park, such as donating land or covering the insurance through the city?
When I was growing up, they said we were going to get a park here. We heard it every single year, my entire life. I'd love a park here. I do believe that a park shouldn't be our top priority right now. There are much deeper issues running through the town right now than a park. While I'd love to, and given the chance we've caught up, I would absolutely love to work with the community to build a park. I just don't think that should be our top priority at this time.
Thank you.
While I'm trying to hurry, I actually thought about this quite a bit, but mine was a splash pad for the kids for the area, because I noticed that, I mean, we have a lot of kids in our community and they just don't have anything to do. They don't have, we don't have a pizza place they can hang out at, an arcade. I mean, I know I'm old, but an arcade, someplace to do something, and they're just kind of, in the heat and the summer, they need something to do. And I think while I agree with Justin, it is not top priority when we first get in there. It is something that we can look at in the future, especially with the growth of Ladonia. We definitely need that for the children.
Thank you.
Recreation for our kids is very important. That helps them stay out of trouble sometimes, maybe. But yes, once we're able to do research and figure out the best way to go about it, the best way to provide it to our community, yes, a park would be great.
Thank you.
I'm just going to echo what everybody else is saying. Yes, obviously it is important. At this present moment, though, as we all know, it's not our most important. However, if there are volunteers who step up and say, you know what, we've got the land, we figured out how to fund it, then we can, as a community, I think we just need to go ahead and power drive through, even if it's not the top priority. If those volunteers put in that time, that effort, we need to acknowledge what they have done.
Does it seem faster? So there's a practical aspect of this, and I've already talked about how we prioritize things, and we do that together as a community. I believe if it's important to us as a community, then it's something that we need to set down as a goal and just put it in the list somewhere, because I'm telling you, I know from personal experience, just putting it down on a piece of paper as a goal makes something happen, right? Focusing on the fact that it's the third thing down from, you know, the road issues or water and sewer issues or whatever those priority items are. The fact that we see it on the list tells us that, and tells the folks that are coming here, that it's an important part of our community that we're committed to. It's just down the list from the very top.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Justin. What do you propose as the most important issue that needs to be resolved for improving economic conditions and growth in Ladonia?
I don't believe there's a single most important issue that needs to be resolved. I believe that we have money that's been missing that's important, that needs to be resolved. I believe that there's still time periods, and it's been this way my whole life, there's time periods where you can't drink the water. Paying $200 for a water bill for water we can't even drink. I think that while some stuff surely takes priority over other stuff, I think that we should look at this more or less on equal ground for things such as the water, the roads, or taxes, or houses out here that or should be condemned and haven't been condemned. I think that it's a multitude of problems, and we need to focus on all of them.
Thank you.
I, again, kind of echo that, but I believe that we need to actually get in and be able to, and no matter, elections coming up, we're going to have to work as a team. All of us are going to have to work as a team, and it's going to take us looking from the bottom up to figure out what is most important. Right now, I could tell you, like he's saying, the water, you can't drink it, we can't cook with it. It'll turn your macaroni to mush. So we have to use bottled water for that. So there's a lot of issues that Ladonia faces and a lot of things, but together we can get there. It's just going to take a little bit of time for us to get in there and get taken care of.
Thank you.
Like Amy and Justin said, there are a lot of issues going on with Ladonia right now, but I feel like if we work together, we can overcome that. Communication is key. Communication with each other, communication from the council to the citizens. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it.
Thank you.
Can you read the question?
What do you propose as the most important issue for improving economic growth for Ladonia?
The most important issue will definitely have to be our infrastructure. Infrastructure being your water, your sewer, your streets. We are not going to be able to attract businesses. We're not going to be able to attract home builders. We're not going to be able to attract any of these people that we keep hearing about with the roads and the conditions that they are. And there's been nothing done for a while now. they're just sitting there like they've been. And I mean, I know that we've had people in the past come in, you know, complained about their cars. It's terrible. I mean, who's going to want to invest in a community that's not investing in themselves?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll pick a hill to die on here. And you're not going to be surprised. Can I see that timer? Because I'm going to need all 1 minute of this thing. A few years ago, I was invited to serve on a board of a nonprofit, and that nonprofit was about $4 million a year. Okay, and they could not figure out why they couldn't pay their bills. All right, the first meeting, the bookkeeper handed me the financials, and within 30 seconds, we had found the root cause. That person had embezzled $150,000 over the last 8 months from that organization. That's where the money was going, right? It is not rocket science to read a financial statement if you know what to look for. All right, so the hill I'm going to die on right here is the number one priority is making sure that we pay attention to the pennies so that we have dollars to manage every day. When I asked the mayor if she knew what the bank account balance was a couple of months ago, she said it changes every day. That's an answer. It's just not the answer you expect from somebody who's managing your checkbook.
Thank you, Russell. How would you help, if elected, how would you help the board work to transition new members on the board? Or help someone, if you're not elected, to move into your position?
I feel like this goes back to a question I've already answered here before. As long as we have to be courteous and we have to be polite to each other. We have to treat this like, if Greg Morris wins mayor, I'm going to treat him with the respect I think he deserves, and I'm sure he'll treat me the same way. If I win mayor, I hope that he treats me the same way, and I'm going to treat him the same way. This isn't a battle, guys. This isn't us fighting against one another. It's us working together. We have to all work together for all of city council, for the Chamber of Commerce, the fire department, Fannondale. We all have to be a team.
Please.
Says, how will you work to help the board transition when new members come on board? If they win and if they take your place or your seat, would you continue to help them?
Oh, yes. Sorry, that came out wrong, but yes, I would. I mean, like Justin was saying, we're a team, you know, and we, even though, you know, we've seen the lines divided recently, that's not how we feel. We feel that everybody that's going up for a position is one, you know, and I personally, I don't know how everybody else feels, I personally would be here to help. You know, I'm here to help, you know, with feeding Fannin and as much as we can, because we're a community. It's not, oh, she won, I'm going to just turn my back on her. If she needs my help, I'm there, you know, and real quick, like with the secretary, you know, if the secretary needed help on learning how to do something, it's not anything to us to jump in and try to help her. And I think that that's where what's missing in our community is the community piece. You know, we're all separately and we're all divided. And I think that's where we need to move forward. I'm trying to get done in a minute. So thank you.
Thank you.
It comes down to a citizen vote. If the citizens vote someone else in instead of me, then it's my job to support the city and uphold the citizens' vote.
Thank you.
Can you read the question again? That's not making a whole lot of sense.
It's a little hard to read.
Okay.
But, basically, it's how would you, coming on the board, how would you transition in? And if you were not on the board, how would you, if you did not get elected?
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Do I need to go further?
No, I got you now. Coming in on the board, I sat on the council back in 2019. So I have a very good understanding. Not only that, but I also already do this with another city. So that part's not an issue. If I'm not, I'm still going to be here doing the same things. I live in this city. We all do. We all live. Most of us have moved here within the last 20 years. We moved here for a reason. It's not to see it fail at the hands of anybody. And so if I see something that's incorrectly done, I'm still going to point that out because it needs to be done correctly. Even if that person anybody, if they're an incumbent or if they're new, whatever, however it works, we need to be there as that resource.
Thank you.
In my mind, I see this as a kind of a slow relay race. There's not really any reason to fumble a baton, when we're walking beside each other as community members. And at the same time, I think it kind of echoes what Dana was saying. I'm here at almost every council meeting. That's a part of my personal level of accountability. I want to know what's going on, and I want to make sure that the council knows what the law is when I see them stepping across that line. Listen, we're all human, we make mistakes, but there's no need to intentionally do something that harms other people because you think your idea is the best. That's what the rules are for. And I've been told that I'm somebody's number one target because I believe that we should follow the law and the rules, right? So if you think this is the Wild West and you don't care how we do things and you're willing to roll the dice and hope that you're that person's buddy when you need something, then you don't need to elect me. It'll work out for you if you stay on the right side of somebody's attitude, right? But if you want to be treated fairly and equally,
Thank you. Justin, the question says, I hear a lot about we don't have money. Money to update anything, no infrastructure money. How do you plan to attack this problem?
Well, I want to find out why we don't have money, y'all. I'd love to find where it is, and if we can't find it, then... Man, I'm sorry, I didn't have much time to think about this question, y'all. I think we're going to have to rely on the community for the support that we really need. I think that this is one of those questions that I can't answer alone because I can't see the books right here in front of me. This is something that I'm going to have to lean back and rely on my fellow council members for help with, as well as the citizens for help with.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, there are a lot of things out there and a lot of avenues we can go down. Again, we don't know what the books say, but what we've been hearing for, I can't even count how many last council meetings, is that there's $47,000 owed for water bills. And for some reason, that's all of our faults. So at this point, what I would say in the beginning to get some money is, we need to act on that. Find out, can we get the resources to these people to get the water bill paid or shut the water off? I'm sorry, but in other towns, they don't let it go that long. They shut your water off. You don't have an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying do that for someone who's in dire need of water. I'm saying look at the aspects of the person that you're doing it to and give them a talk. But that's, other than that and not knowing the books, that's all I can offer right now.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that we can take a look at the accounts receivables and the accounts payables and the budget and find some money and be able to help our infrastructure.
Thank you.
Very unpopular opinion. So I'm about to come in with a very unpopular opinion, but last year when our tax rate was set, the city opted to go with the lowest tax rate possible. And if you take it and look at the overall figures, if they had just gone with the higher one that wasn't that much higher per $100, it breaks down to about $100 a household. 100 times, we're gonna say, even if we have 30 homes, that's $3,000 that the city would have been able to get in, and each person would have just paid a little more. And like I said, that's based on just a $100,000 home at $100, or excuse me, at the tax rate that the options they had. So again, I know it's not a popular opinion because everybody looks at it, they think we already pay too much in taxes, but when you look at your overall tax bill, you have to realize that the city's only getting the very smallest amount of portion from that. Does anybody in this room believe that the school district took the lowest tax rate possible? Burkett County?
Thank you.
Read that question again.
I hear a lot about we don't have money to update our infrastructure. How do you plan to attack this problem?
Yeah, I've heard that this is just a poor town, that we don't have any money. I pointed out, oh my gosh, more than several times that the balance sheet that we approved over and over showed $500,000 in the water department under restricted funds. I never could get anybody to tell me what they were restricted for or where they were, but lo and behold, somebody found them recently, and now we're spending almost 200 of it. It's unacceptable, as a part of the previous question, it's unacceptable for that transition to happen in a way that doesn't allow for the transfer of community knowledge. You know, if we've got $500,000 in a bank account somewhere, I want to know not only where it is, but is it earning interest? You know what kind of interest $500,000 can earn a year? $50,000 or $60,000. Now we don't have to do a tax increase. We just work off the interest from that money. But I'm telling you, we've got to get back to the baseline on the accounts.
Thank you. Okay, Justin, if elected, what do you expect to get done within the first month?
I expect to get the water meters read. I expect to get them read properly. I have, each month for the past 2 months, my water bill's been $200, and you cannot see my water meter. That has been a constant problem that's been going around town. And that is one of the, I believe that's a heavy priority for the town. We cannot afford to keep paying water bills if we know that they're not reading these water bills. Why do we continue paying this money? We can't even drink the water, guys, and we're paying $200 for a water bill. I want accurate readings for our water bills.
Well, a month is short. So in the first month, what I would like to see, as far as the team here, getting to know the strengths of each person that comes in, I think that's huge, so that we can work together. Getting with the secretary to talk to her, sitting down with the person that is reading the meters or whatever's happening with meters, sitting down with that person and getting a layout of actually what has gone on in this community, so that we can move forward.
Thank you.
The water meters definitely need to be read. Our water bill was actually, we took a picture of our meter on the day the bill was due, and by the time we got our bill in the mail, which was just 4 days later, it was significantly lower than what the picture was that we had taken on the day that it was due. So yes, that is very important. The website, the marquee, that's part of the communication to our citizens. You can't find the information that you need if you don't have a place to go get that information.
Thank you.
I'd like for the audit to be started within the first month. Lots of accusations and innuendos being tossed around. I want to see the audit for the fiscal year of 22-23. Should have already been completed at this point. It hadn't even been started. So let's get it started within that first month.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah. Thanks. My parents would not approve. Um, and I'll echo what Amy said. 1 month, that's a pretty tight window. But I like a challenge. I think we can get the audit started. I think we can actually bring a little bit of fairness into our water billing process. I don't know if you guys know, but if they estimate that your bill average is 800 gallons because they haven't read your meter, you still pay as much as you would if you use 2,000 gallons. And if they estimate your bill the next month at 800 gallons, you still pay the same rate that you would for 2,000 gallons. So how many times are you going to pay for that gallon of water? At least 3 under that model. So I would like to see the council take action to make sure that the minimum amount charged on any bill is the minimum volume of water that is the minimum dollar amount. We should not be paying for the same glass of water 3.5 times.
I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Okay. Cities of all sizes across the nation employ the process of using advisory boards and commissions. The current Ladonia City Council and Mayor discourage them. Would you be open to using the advisory process up to and including experts, enthusiastic residents, also to provide assistance to the council before important decisions are ready?
Of course. I think I've said this earlier today, and I've talked to several people about this. I've tried my best to take in every aspect of every account, no matter who the citizen is, no matter if they've lived here for 6 months or 60 years, they should have an equal say. I think if he's an expert here, I'm not an expert in it, so why would my knowledge overcome his knowledge? It just doesn't make sense to do it that way. We have to do it. If you have the knowledge, we have to be willing to accept the help as a city.
I got it. Actually, the job I have now, we have a lot of different experts in their fields, and I think that that's important. I'm not an expert, just like Justin said. I'm not an expert in everything. I'm not claiming to be an expert in everything. I think advisory boards are good because they can come in, give you ideas, advise you on and it's not saying you have to take it. You don't have to take what they say, but it's good to have. It's that extra set, and they are most of the time, they are the experts in those fields, and they can help you.
Thank you.
My sole responsibility as a council member is to support the city and what's best for the city. And if working together with an advisory board on something that I may not know a whole lot about, that's definitely the better alternative than for me to try and make a willy-nilly decision that I don't know something about. Yes.
Of course. And as a lot of you know, or some of you in here know, again, work for another city. I know people who already handle water and sewer systems for some of the larger cities here in Fannin County. Call on them often. Police, fire, on down the line. And the citizen advisory boards, most definitely. Those people are here. They come, they listen to the opinions of others. The advisory boards, what they do is they then come to the council and present, this is the information we've received from the citizens. There is no misnomer that they are going to be the ones making the decision. At the end of the day, it's the council that makes that decision. So that's who we definitely need to be listening to, our citizens, as to what they believe is important on this issue and how to go about handling it. But again, then on the flip side of that, if we have issues with our water and sewer system, let's bring in those other experts from outside.
Thank you.
I think diversity of thought is one of the most important things the best tool that we can have in a decision-making process, quite frankly. The last thing you would want me to do is to lock myself in City Hall and think that I know all the answers, right? Because it's all the answers based on Russell's experience. While those might be good experiences in my mind and good actions in my mind, it might not be for the best interest of everybody in this room. And so, absolutely, when I was on council, we actually had a planning and zoning board that was not the council. So we've actually enacted that here. And again, it was an advisory board. We wanted them to listen to the zoning requests and then bring their recommendations to council. That's a lot to ask a council to do. And I think there are many other places that we can use that advisory council model as well to help us make sure that we are working better every day to improve every aspect of our community.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I've been missing the boat on this, like, I'm not giving the theme first. It's on infrastructure. Next question. Halfway through, over halfway through. Okay. For any water or sewer lines that will be underwater, such as on 2990 under the creek, who will be responsible for rerouting and servicing those lines?
I believe that's one of those things we'd have to consult with experts with. I'm not somebody who is I don't know off the top of my head who's responsible for those lines. I don't know, but I'd love to find out. And I would love to I'd love to hear other people's opinions on it and other people's, if somebody knows who is responsible for them or who should be responsible for them, if one of my council members has the right idea, we can come together as a collective community and brainstorm the proper ways to handle it.
Excuse me before we go any further. I asked at the beginning that, we be adults and be respectful, and I wish we would hear that while they're speaking, that the audience doesn't need to be speaking. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm gonna make this quick. I don't know. I just like Justin said, we would have to go with the experts on that. I don't know who would be in charge of replacing a pipe under a creek.
Under water be under 2990.
Okay,
It will be under the creek.
under the creek. Okay, that would be somebody that has been that probably wrote that question, that has been in the city council. And I'm not gonna stand up here and say that I know that, because I don't. I would have to do my due diligence and reach out and get other expert opinions on that.
Thank you.
Echo, because I would definitely have to get with people that know something about that and fellow council members, and hopefully we can contact the right person to get that taken care of.
Thank you.
In regards to any water lines off of 2990, I believe they end at y'all's property, correct? So that's not actually, there's nothing going under the creeks over there. Now, there are some others up this way and out off of County Road 3945, I believe, that Upper Trinity has already addressed that they will be rerouting those. So as of when I last spoke to them in like 2023 about this, that was the consensus, that they knew about certain water lines, and yes, they had already put in place that before the lake actually is opened, they will be rerouting those lines.
We do.
So, but again, if they decide not to, we'll have to get with experts on it. But as of right now, that was my understanding of what they were going to do.
I appreciate the example of what we just had there with Dana. Actually has the knowledge about that. So I think sometimes as humans, we focus on the how do I accomplish this? This question came to me, so it must be mine to address. But I think in a lot of situations, it's not how we do it, but who we know or who we have in our network or in our vendor list or in the community that knows what the root cause of this is or knows what the right answer is, because I could search all day, or I could just call Dana, right? So let's as a community begin to ask who, not how, in some of these situations.
Okay. We're trying to move as fast as we can because there's a ton of questions here. And since you came, I would like for you to have the opportunity to at least hear your questions answered. So we're going to move as fast as we can. You have 10 seconds now.
You can call it bedtime, but I can say
Yeah, I gotta be at work at 4 in the morning, so.
Okay. Since we have voted to keep our water rights, what direction do you see us going forward, and what steps would you take?
I think the first step I would take is, again, I can't stress this enough, to make sure we have drinkable water, to make sure that our meters are being properly read, to make sure that if I had a pipe bust back in December, and thankfully the city secretary took that into account when we talked about my water bill. Those are the kind of things that have to be done. We have to take into account every single situation individually. This isn't a what kind of steps you, it's not a blanket conversation. It's each individual case by case situation. And I think the very first step is going to be to get us some drinkable water, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, well, mine is actually going to be the sewer side of that. I know that we have a lot of clay pipes, of course, because we dug ours out and replaced them, going up to the city line. So I know that those need to be replaced. Like Justin, echoing what Justin said, it's going to be case by case. You know, we don't have all the money to be able to replace everything. And I know when everybody was talking about SUD, going with Hickory SUD, and we decided not to go that route, I think that was a smart move. I think that it was a very smart move for our town. Whether it not be right now in the immediate, in the future is what we were looking for, not in the immediate. We knew they were in dire straits at the time with the budget, but now going forward, I think that's going to be a good move for Linonia.
Thank you.
We have to protect our biggest asset in Ladonia. That's our water. We can't live without water. And if we can't get it from here, then we have to get it from somewhere else. There are lots of sewer issues, water meter issues that all will need to be addressed. And hopefully we can take care of those one at a time. You know, once we're able to get in there and take a look and see what's going on.
Thank you.
Can you read the question? There's like no end point to it.
Since we voted to keep our water rights, what direction do you see us going in moving forward?
I mean, we're same as everyone else. We need to just get things where we have drinkable water, where we have a sewer system that's not overflowing and breaching the lagoons. But the other thing, again, we need our meters read correctly. We all know that. I mean, I know in mine, I was overbilled. There are people who've been underbilled. There's no consensus on who gets what. It's just kind of a willy-nilly, whatever number we decide. You know, I'm not going to expand on that. Earlier this week, it was brought up that we need smart meters. We don't need smart meters. That's a very large expense. We might want them, but it's not a need. We need to pay. If we're paying someone to read the meters, they need to be reading them correctly.
Thank you.
I always sound like the accountant when I stand up here, and technically my bedtime's in 10 minutes. if we don't have a list of every issue in our water system and in our sewer system, how are we going to get our arms around any of it? Right? I know I have heard people talk about open sewer lines, sewage flowing out into somebody's backyard. Is that on a list somewhere? Is that prioritized for repair? If it is not, I'm sorry to tell anybody in that situation, it's not going to get taken care of because nobody in that office knows about it, right? So step number one is making a list of all the known issues, prioritizing them based on CEQ requirements or public health concerns, and then taking specific actions. We've got a superintendent that's sitting in the office making gestures to people as they take photos. Maybe he could get out there and make a list of the issues that we need to address and help us prioritize them based on his expertise in that area.
This one is under public safety. Is having a police force or keeping what we got more important than getting our water safe and up to code or moving forward until we have more funds?
That's a phenomenal question, yo. I think that I think every single town needs some sort of security force in it to minimize crime. If other cities come in and believe that we have a police force or something to stop crime, stop break-ins, stop vandalism, then they'll be more comfortable coming in for income. On the other hand of that, they're not going to be comfortable if we don't have water. So I don't think it comes down to what's more important, one or the other. It's a problem, they're individual problems that have to be fixed together.
Thank you.
I will echo on the doing it together. I don't think that one is more important than the other, and I don't think the police department needs to wait. They waited for 1.5 years now, and you know we have the car, but we don't have a police officer. So my thing is, and I go off of, he goes off security, I also go off the health aspect. If we have someone in our community that has a heart attack, and our volunteer to fire department is volunteer, they work, you know, they have jobs. If that officer can respond, who has a mic, who can call the sheriff department, call the ambulances, call anybody that they need, and get them here a lot quicker than if we're hoping that person can even notify a neighbor or if they live alone, get any word out to anybody in the area. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
I think part of protecting our water and taking care of our city is going to require a police department. The ordinances, for instance, all of the debris that keeps getting thrown into the creeks that flushes down and causes all of the erosion that could be prevented. Well, if we can't protect our water and our water system if we don't have somebody to enforce the laws.
Thank you.
It doesn't have to be an either or. When you submit information over to the appraisal district, part of that information that you can submit would be salaries for public services like police officers. Those are completely separate funds from your water sewer funds. Your water sewer funds are from, as you all know, your water bill. The other would be from your taxes. So it doesn't have to be an either or. You can do both simultaneously if you're willing to do it. You just have to be willing to have the police department.
Thank you.
I'm not going to tiptoe around this one. It's unacceptable for people to use their personal issues to make decisions that affect our community. I've heard some very encouraging things from a couple of candidates at the county level about their insights into the budget and how they may be restructuring to add more sheriff's deputies. I think it's worth, to Dana's point, it's not an either or. We need a police department here in Ladonia. Who had their door kicked in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Oh, I'm sorry, that was me. So this is top of mind, top of my heart. You know, I need to know that my family is safe, and if We don't have a police department right here. We need to have a sheriff's deputy close for that. And again, not just for public safety, but for health issues. And we can address these things at the same time because that's the way the accounting and the budgets are set up.
Thank you. Oh, bear with me, I'm nodding out, it's past my bedtime. All right, here we go. What would you do to support local groups working to improve the town and the citizens that live in it?
This question isn't that much different than one we've been asked earlier in the night. And I don't want to repeat the same answer to y'all. I don't want to seem like a broken clock. But like I said once before, I believe that everyone has a right in this town. Everyone needs the support. It is our duty as city council, as mayor, or even if I lose, it's our duty as citizens to support the groups that we think are going to help the town. We have to support what is going to better our town, no matter what.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is just,
It is. It's just
yeah.
basically the same thing.
Okay. So, as he was saying, I don't want to echo it. I just want to say that, I know some of our committees right now, and they work very well with the community. And a lot of us have, become close together. So if somebody gets down on one of those committees, you step up and you help out. It doesn't matter if I'm actually part of that committee, I'm part of the community, and I need to help out where I'm needed.
Volunteer also means support. That means you support your citizens, you support your fellow, friends, everybody that lives here in Ladonia. And we can't keep our community together if we don't support each other.
Thank you.
We pull along beside, we promote, we help get the word out that these resources are available, that the volunteers are needed, and we just continue doing what we've been trying to do.
Thank you.
Why use 100% penalty? Based on my past experience, we would join and we would pay the dues and we would show up, right? But I think that's one of the things about community is, you have to be willing to invite people to be involved and then to hear them say no. We cannot expect everybody to show up to volunteer, right? And there are a few of us that will just kind of almost kill ourselves to do it. But the truth is we have to, as a community, be willing to invite everyone and be willing to accept, no, that's not for me at the same time.
Thank you. Is there any chance of getting Meals on Wheels back in Ladonia? And how can we protect feeding Fannin against any attack from the city, since most of the people are repeat people in this area, and they are in poverty. Our people deserve help.
I agree our people deserve help. I'd love to get Meals on Wheels back in Ladonia. I think that it's outrageous to attack any group that's trying to help Ladonia. I don't see that being a problem in the future. I don't see, no matter what, I don't see how we could attack Feeding Fannin when they're giving people food, or how we could stop Meals on Wheels from coming to town when there's so many people rely on these groups and these services just to get through day and day. I'll do everything I can to make sure they're not attacked and everyone gets a fair treatment and a fair run at things.
Thank you.
I'm just going to make it real quick. I'm just going to echo what Justin said. I think that Feeding Fannin, and if anybody, I can't imagine that somebody would step in and try to take away Feeding Fannin when all they're doing is trying to promote goodness in our community.
Thank you.
Meals on Wheels is a great program. I actually have a disabled brother that receives Meals on Wheels in another county. So yes, I would absolutely be supportive of getting Meals on Wheels back in Ladonia.
Yes, to Meals on Wheels. I would love to see Feeding Fannin be here about twice a month if we could get it. I'm getting a stink eye. Sorry. Sorry. He's giving me a stink eye. Oh man, there are other social programs that that I think that should be able to get in, even if it's not monthly, quarterly. Like there are so many out there that we could definitely get in here, and yeah. So just yes.
Thank you.
I feel like yes and yes are all you really need to hear, but I can't leave it at that. I'd be curious to know what the barriers are for Meals on Wheels, because as far as I know, they haven't operated here since we've been here. At least I haven't heard of it. So if there are some community barriers against them working here, let's figure out what they are and figure out how to get rid of them. When it comes to Feeding Fannin and other food pantries like that, I have personal experience serving in an organization like that, and I know that a lot of times there are 4 things that people need, and they only have money for 3 of them. And if we can help in that situation by providing a program like Feeding Fannin and remove every barrier that it takes to get them here as frequently as they can be here, that's what I'm willing to support.
Thank you. Well, this is a good one. Some of these are on the same topics, and I'm trying to filter through so that we can expedite. I'm not trying to delete anybody's questions. I'm trying to, if it's already been talked about, then I won't ask questions. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. The question is, if elected, incumbent, or newly elected to the board, what would you do to help promote unity in the community?
I don't feel like we've been super divided until recently. I feel like growing up, I could always rely on everyone in the community to help me in any way we needed. And I hope that I don't believe we are as divided as people think we are. I think that as a community, we all strive for the same thing. We may have different ways about going for it, and we may have different thought processes. But I don't think there's this big division between us. We all want Ladonia better. And I think that as long as we can improve our communication with one another and treat each other politely and the way that we would want to be treated, then I don't see it being an issue reestablishing the unity that we've had my whole life.
Thank you. Question?
Yeah, God.
Incumbent or newly elected, what would you do to help promote unity within our community?
Okay, just walking door to door when we were doing some campaigning, everybody was very welcoming. They listened to what we were going for. And I think that if newly elected, I would love to see more of our community come out to our meetings. Also, maybe throw an event here locally at the town square. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money, just something to get everybody up here and get together as a community and show that, hey, we're here. We're here for you. We're not here for us. We have, daytime jobs. We have other things we have to do. We're here for you guys to get your voices heard. So.
Thank you.
Definitely more community events to pull us all back together. Get to know each other. Don't just judge someone because they're new to town. They must want this. They moved from there, so they must want that, And you're assuming what they want for Ladonia. We have to get to know each other. That's the only way we can support each other.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna echo community events, but I think part of the hindrance at this point is that there's recently been enacted a permit fee to do that. I'm gonna use you, Mr. Godfrey, just as an example, may I? If Mr. Godfrey, your church, say y'all wanted to have a movie night on the square, and this was a community event, but now he's got to, maybe pay this fee. Is that going to hinder him having this event now because they don't have the money to pay the fee? So if this is something for the community, just for everybody to come together for movie night on the square or back to school bash or whatever, why should we be charging these churches or the schools or whatever to have these events for the kids, for the adults, for the parents, for the grandparents, whatever it may be, whoever it may be?
Thank you.
You guys have probably heard me say show up several times in my responses tonight. I think the most important thing we can do as a community is to show up for each other and serve together and work together. I think that's where those deep relationships are formed. Even sitting around this table, doing the hard work for this city is an opportunity to learn about each other and about what our roots are and how those roots show up in this community today, right? Listen, all of us are not from here. Totally get it, right? But each of us has something to offer this community. You better believe that.
Thank you. Right, Justin, here we go. With the current situation of having two groups in opposition of one another running for city council positions, if all or one of these groups does not get elected, will the partial members of each group be able to work together to get things accomplished, or will they continue to undermine one another? How you would answer that, being elected in the office, how you would help that not happen?
I believe the key is communication, y'all. I believe that while, like I said, we have different ways of going about it,
True.
I think that in the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want a better life for every resident here in Ladonia. We want fixed streets. We want fixed water. We want everything to be slightly better than it is now. And the only way we can do that is if we work together as a team. I don't have to personally like you, but I have to respect you, and I have to show you the courteous and politeness that you are showing me. I don't believe we should fight as city councilmen. I don't believe we should fight as the city versus the citizens. I don't think that should even be a thought in our head. We should come together and work together, and I think the only way to do that is with clear communication.
Thank you.
So, as we know, as we go up, that there is going to be a mixed group of people on the city council, more than likely. And as Justin was saying, we're going to have to work together. It's not me that's here. I'm here for the citizens, just like the other people that are currently serving are here for the citizens as well. We're all going to have to work together. We put our stuff aside, and then, like Justin said, I might not like you, but just in my job, same as my day job. I might not like the person that I'm working with every day, or I might come up against somebody, that I really don't care for, but I respect them, and I'm professional when it comes to handling business matters.
Thank you.
The very first rule I learned in kindergarten was be courteous. My number one responsibility would be to uphold who the citizens vote for. It's not up to me to say, no, that's not the right person. Y'all voted for them, and that's my responsibility to support that.
Thank you.
Kind of got lost. Sorry.
I knew I was going to do this.
When they answered,
With the current situation of having two groups in opposition of one another running for city council positions, If all or one of the group does not get elected, will the partial members from each of the other groups be able to work together to get something accomplished, or will they continue to undermine one another?
Will they continue? Or personally, no. I mean, I can't obviously answer for, sounds like my fellow constituents feel the same way. At the end of the day, we all want what's best for this city. When we are told that things are going to be transparent, we want them to be transparent. When we ask questions of city, we shouldn't be met with "I don't know." We need to be given the answers. The citizens need to be given answers to what the questions they're looking for. So, as far as undermining each other, that's not going to get you anywhere. But you also need to understand that the citizens are the ones who elected you, so you ultimately are responsible to them for any questions they may have.
Thank you.
Was the word "can" you work together? Was that?
I don't know. That's why I had to read it again.
But would each group be able to work together?
Will be able.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worded weirdly, but that's what it says.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Maybe. I think the best example of that is, you see that chair right there that I was sitting in, how empty it is? That's how empty that chair's been for a year, right? You voted somebody into that chair and then that person left. And then this council decided not to fill that chair. Why would they do that? Does it create an imbalance? You have to be the judge of the reason why you think that chair is empty. But let me tell you, we're presuming that everybody wants what's best for Lazonia that's running for the town. I'm here to tell you, I want what's best for all of us, not just my family, right? Not just my personal interests. If I see an empty seat while I'm on council, I will rail until that seat is filled, because that's what the citizens of this community deserve, is a council that is full of the best people that we have.
Thank you. If elected, how would you ensure that the city's cash and other assets are accounted for and protected?
Well, that's when an audit comes into play. We have to find out, and we have some people who've come in who, for example, Russell here. He's gone very clearly tonight and told us he very clearly knows what he's talking about when it comes to the money stuff. And you have to rely on each other to make sure nothing gets taken. You have to rely on each other to uphold your integrity in the town. The money problem is because somewhere someone has relaxed on their integrity. And that is the biggest mistake anyone could ever make, is to give away your integrity.
Why the financial audit, we all know that needs to happen, but also the assets of, with the police car that we have on a grant, it's been sitting in a garage for a year and a half, and we have other things that the city owns that need to be tracked. So that will take a little bit of time, but I think every piece of equipment for the city needs to be tracked down. And if it can't be tracked down, we need to find out exactly what happened to it and when.
Thank you.
Utilizing our resources and revenues are top on the list. Nothing else can happen if we're not utilizing our resources, our revenues, our money, all of the above in the proper way.
Thank you.
So in the past few months, we've been hearing about how things aren't exactly showing because QuickBooks is not user-friendly. QuickBooks is not this, QuickBooks not that. If you don't know how to use QuickBooks, that doesn't make it a QuickBook issue. That makes it a user issue. So if you don't know how to use it, in order to enter in all of your receipts, everything that your ins and your outs, your expense and your income, then you get with somebody who can teach you how to do that. You find somebody who understands how to do this, and you get it done. That way we have a clear picture financially of what we are actually dealing with. And then again, let's harken back to our audit. Audit should have been done. No questions. Instead, we're told the QuickBooks wasn't, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. But it's only a mess because you don't know how to use it. So if you don't know how to use it, you find somebody to teach you how to use it.
Thank you.
You pay attention to details. You don't just pay a bill for fix and feed that's $1,000. You look at the details on that invoice, like teriyaki beef jerky, 10 ounces, Monster energy drink, 16 ounces, and a shovel. On the same day, Monster energy drink, padlock, 2-in-1 combo, fudge square. That's 2 round trips to fix and feed for 1 item for the water department and 2 snacks each trip. You pay attention to the details.
Thank you. We're getting close, guys. All right. What are a few ways you can help Ladonia become more landlord friendly?
Sorry, what was the question?
As a council person or mayor, what are a few ways you can help Ladonia become more landlord friendly?
I don't know how to answer that. I'm not a landlord. I've never rented property to anybody. But just like anybody else, they have to be able to have it. They own property in Ladonia. They have to have a say in what goes on in Ladonia as well. Now, do I think that they have as much say as the community? I do. I think that everyone here deserves an equal say, no matter what your role is here. No matter if you're a landlord, no matter if you're a renter, no matter if you own your own home, or if you're a squatter. I think everyone in town deserves a say in their future.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. I recently actually had to reach out to an investor that has a property across from us, and I agree also with Justin. They should have a say in our community. He owns 3 or 4 houses within our neighborhood. Just from speaking with him on email, because I was worried about a lot that I was worried he was going to build apartments in. That's a side point. But the reason that I reached out to him, he charges high dollar rent, and he makes sure that they adhere to their yards being mowed. Everything is impeccable. And as long as I don't have any problem with it. I think they should have a say in our. Yeah.
Thank you.
If someone is a landlord in our community, they pay taxes to our community. That's money coming in. We can't operate without that person's taxes. It's not my job to figure out if they're a landlord or if they're a renter or if they own that home. It's if they pay taxes, then yes, I'm going to absolutely support that.
Thank you. Oh, man.
Landlords? Make it landlord friendly? Not really sure what that means. Landlord friendly.
What are a few ways you can help Ladonia become more landlord friendly?
Landlord friendly? I don't. I wish that could be expanded on a little bit to understand exactly what they mean by landlord friendly. But I mean, they, again, like they've said, they pay taxes. We should listen to what they have to say. However, at the same time, they need to understand that they're being held to the same standards as anybody else in this town. We can't have, just because it's a rent house, it can't be charging $1,600 a month for rent and the house looks like it's about to fall in on itself. That's not fair to the people living in the home either who decided to live there. So it's just, if they have concerns, I guess they're just gonna have to come to the council and discuss that, or come to City Hall and discuss that with them and let them know what their concerns are. Unfortunately, I don't know of any issues.
See? Better.
I'll wait for the changing of the guard here.
Changing of the goal.
I think this kind of goes back to just basic property rights and having a process that everybody in City Hall is familiar with. If somebody has an issue with their property, there should be, if they need a permit, there should be one process that person goes through for getting that permit. And they should be held to a standard to maintain that property in the public health and public safety interests. But I think I'd have to echo everything everybody said here. They're property owners, and we need to make sure that they are welcome to come here and express their opinions and grievances, and make sure that they know that we appreciate their participation in the community. And depending on how that situation is zoned, it may not be possible for them to build apartments on it if it's zoned single family. So, these are some things that we need to think about and talk about, not just zoning, but if you have a zoning plan, you're supposed to have an overarching strategic plan. And as far as I know, we don't have that. So we got a lot of work to do. But knowing what the rules are and playing by the rules, I think it's a pretty important thing to focus on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last round of questions from the group, and then we'll have one final session where each candidate will explain why they're running and what they plan to get accomplished during the term that they're running. Go ahead. No, I'm not. Go ahead.
Well,
I just read it. I think you answered it about 3 times ago when it asked about the money for the pump replacement in the water. Who's going to manage the water? Charge it for water, ensure insufficient funds. I think that you addressed that. Amy addressed that early about how we would do that. So it's just a duplicate, basically. So you get to tell us. We're shutting down. All right.
Well, since it's a duplicate question, I'm not going to continuously harp on it. And
okay, let me stop you. We're not gonna do that question. I want you to tell us why.
Why you're running.
Why you're running and why you should be elected for mayor or whatever position on council.
Okay. Okay.
This is the last round.
Okay. I'm running for mayor because I want to see a positive change in the community. I'm running for mayor because I grew up here. I saw how this was when I was growing up. 10, 15 years ago, people didn't come through Ladonia and be like, Ladonia. They came through Ladonia and they were like, oh, this isn't a bad town. I wouldn't mind setting down some roots here. I want my grandchildren to have that same experience I had. I want my kids to have that same experience I had. I want y'all's kids, y'all's grandkids, to have the same experience y'all had. And if you haven't been here your whole life, I want you to experience Ladonia in its fullest capability, and the capability that I hope to bring it to. That I hope that whether it's them who are elected or if it's whoever is elected, I hope we can all bring it to the way it used to be.
Thank you.
I'm running because my main thing is transparency. Also moving here in 2018, I got to talk to our neighbors, and they voiced that, they don't even bother, and that's sad. They've lived here, they've seen how Ladonia has gone from a lot of prosperity to a lot of not. I don't even know how to explain that, but and it's sad because, they're retirement age and they want to enjoy it, and they just, and they have their home, they own their home, and to see it just go down, everything in the town go downhill. I think for us as citizens, we owe that to our community, for everybody to step up and help out and do their part. And that's what I'm here for, is to get everybody's voice and to let it be heard to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm running because we actually moved from Collin County, where we saw my hometown. I moved there when I was 2 years old. We saw it bloom and grow, and now it's subdivision after subdivision after subdivision and bumper to bumper traffic. You can't go 5 miles down the road without sitting at a red light for 10 or 15 minutes because they did the process, how they did it. Build the houses, everybody come in, and then you all get to scramble and play Frogger to get across the street. I've seen fatality accidents in my hometown at the very end of my street, and it breaks my heart. My parents still live there. I moved away from my parents to come here so that I could get back to that rural lifestyle that I've always wanted since I was a child.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna, like Amy said, transparency. When I ran back in 2019, that was one of the reasons why I ran. I had literally been here not even a year when I decided to run because there was so much that wasn't being told, shared publicly with the community. Now, we've gotten right back to that in the past couple of years. Again, closed door meetings, things like that should not be occurring. The citizens need to know. It shouldn't take a Bill Duffy coming in and saying, you can't do this. As a council, we should already know that. And that's what we need. That's why I'm running. You know, get people on here who know. And if you don't know, you're going to ask. You're going to ask the people who will know.
Thank you.
This is it for me, people. This is where I'm going to buy the farm, right? That's something that Carol and I have already made this decision, right? When we found that house, Carol said, if we don't save this house, who's going to do it, right? And when we began to develop relationships here and friendships here and saw that this town needed some leadership in this area, it literally, I felt the same way. If I don't get in there and help, who's going to do it? And I know there are other people, right? And as humans, we have a tendency to trust people very quickly, right? Remember the last time you went to a restaurant and you ordered a hamburger, right? You didn't go back and make sure that they had their health certificate training and they washed their hands, right? You just ordered the burger and then you ate it. And if you got sick, then you withdrew your trust, right? So I would ask you to look at this situation the same, right? You have given your trust freely to the people who are running this town right now, and it is not a pretty sight. Right? I have been telling them for 2 years that we've got money, and now we found it.
Thank you. Right.
Would you join me in giving each one of the candidates a hand? And participating on tonight. Thank you. You did very well. Very well. Now turn around and give yourselves a hand. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Tom didn't even act up tonight. So we're good to go. I'd just like to say I am just deeply honored to be able to come back home and to be asked to be a part of what the city is doing and to see the passion that everyone has, the love for the city that you all have. I just pray that we keep God in the mix so that we can all be on one accord. See, when the devil's in the mix, the devil's whole objective is to divide and conquer. It's not a whole lot of us here, and even if we don't agree, we need to pray and be able to agree to disagree and still move and do what is best for Ladonia. Again, I am so grateful and thankful to be a part. I grew up here. It's my home. one of the candidates said, Justin, yeah. I grew up here. I was in the streets here. We played. It was a great place to be. We loved it. All of our people from the city would come and stay with us on the farm because they love to be here and the atmosphere. When I come to Ladonia now, I almost cry when I see how we've divided. We're divided. And we don't need to be. We really don't. I'm not an outsider by any means. I know over half of you sitting in here. And the other half I will get to know. But again, I just ask you to trust God. With Him, all things are possible. All things, not some, not a few. All things are possible. You got your sermon for tonight. Jason used that basket at the door. All right. God bless you and thank you all.
Thank you.